you're getting a free trip to Switzerland.
Wow.
I would be like, how often do you want it? More, you want it, I don't know, but I like blowjobs. So
Yeah.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. In studio today, I've got Amy.
Hello.
How are you?
Fantastic.
You are down to crunch time. I know we always talk about school because
that's my life.
that is your life and work,
Yeah.
but you are in finals.
Finals week. Yes.
And
Week and a half. Yeah.
I'm like, Amy, let's do a show. And like, I don't have time. I got finals. I got to study. I got work.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's going nonstop, but
Yeah.
it'll be good. I've got, passing grades. So
How are
good.
your grades? How are you doing?
So I've pretty much got all A's and B's.
You're a smart one.
Yeah, well, I put a lot of effort into it. I
You
probably,
do.
I don't know. You got to try.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not trying, then I know I'm going to slack off.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
Well, Amy likes to tinker with her profile, and I noticed that she changed her profile yesterday.
Yeah, I changed it like a week ago. Or
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
Yeah.
I just noticed it.
Yeah, so I'm no longer, promoting the podcast or anything.
Why?
Well, I feel like
What happened?
I think that the wrong guys I'm attracting the wrong guys, right? So we've talked about this on a previous episode, actually. I think one of our first episodes is if you're not attracting the guys or people, ladies that you want, then you need to put more effort into that, right? And you need to tinker with it a little bit. Always be honest. Like, don't put fake shit in there. Like, if you're not looking for a long term, don't put in there, I'm looking for a long term. But if you're, I don't know, like, it just, yeah, don't do that. So be honest with yourself. It's just, I think your wording, the way you word things is pretty important. And then, just try to be, in fact, I've actually reached out to a couple guys because there was one guy who has been kind of coaching me, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah, it was very fascinating. He reached out, he private messaged me, and he was like, he's like, I noticed you changed your profile. He's like, I want to say that it looks much better. Like, that sounds much, much better. He's like, I know that you're not promoting this anymore, blah, blah, blah. And you're genuinely looking for someone. And he's like, that is very well written. The second part about what you're looking, like what the guy should be like, he's like, you need to work on that. And so he was like, so tell me what you're kind of looking for. And I did. And he was like, that sounds pretty good. And then he had a few tweaks and he was like, try this and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't mind. I actually think it's kind of fun.
To play with different profiles?
Yeah. Well, not to play with different, to get advice from
to get advice.
From men, right? Because
Well, what do they know?
yeah, right. Well, I feel like this guy, I know that he's been on there a while. The same people, like if you're on there a lot, I know who you are.
Right.
I've talked to you before, I promise, because I've talked to you, you've probably reached out to me or I've reached out to you and we've talked at some point or another. So I know this guy's been on there a while. So that kind of, I don't know. I think that his profile has changed too. So I was more willing to talk to him about it. And because I think at some point or another, everybody really wants something that's more long-term and they don't want to have a different girl all the time or a different guy all the time. But he's probably been burned a lot like I have. And so he's just kind of in that phase where he's like, well, if you guys are going to take advantage of me, then I'm going to get you first or something. I don't know what that's about, but it just he doesn't want to be taken advantage of. So everything's going to be short term for the time being. Right.
So I noticed you have a real catchy headline.
Yeah. So we're not going to say it because
Why?
I
it.
don't want people finding me. I don't want the wrong people finding me. I seriously am looking for somebody and that's very real for me. And I want that. I want somebody who wants something long term. I don't want somebody sitting there, being like, oh, is everything that we do or say going to be on the show? I don't want that. I don't want the wrong guys looking at me who just want a girl that's on a popular podcast. Don't want that.
So do you feel like being on the podcast has kind of brought some negativity
Absolutely
into your sugar dating life?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Well, I mean, if I was just out wanting to have a good time, it would be great, but I'm not. Like, I'm not. I'm looking for one person and that's it. Like, I don't want to be bouncing around from person to person, and I don't want somebody telling me who I am, and that's the problem that
And you feel like
into.
they listen to you and they think they know you.
Exactly. And it's like, you guys really don't know me. Like, yes, you know about my past and you know what I'm looking for. You know a little bit about my personality, but that's just that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's not really who I am. Because if you really knew who I am, I feel like a lot of people, like, once you get to know me, I feel like I'm that person that just kind of stays in your life. Like, I'm pretty lovable, right?
We're on 2 years now.
Yeah. And so, but that's how it's always been with all of my exes, right? Is like, I stay in contact with all of them. The only person, like, I can say there's maybe 2 people on this planet that I have, like, throughout all my dating experiences, all the way back to middle school, that I don't talk to anymore.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Unless you're like a stalker, right? Unless you stalk me or do something really creepy like that. Like, yeah, of course I'm going to not talk to you anymore. If you happen to reach out, I'll be nice to you, but I will not engage with you in conversation and ask how you're doing, because I don't want you to get a wrong idea because you're mentally unstable like that. So
yeah.
It just is something that I want to. But
right.
Yeah. Well, so what about you? Where are you at with everything? You always talk about the girls. What about you?
Yeah, I'm basically still active on the site purely for podcasts. Matter of fact, I was thinking I've had my profile pretty much the same for 2 years now, because I did an experiment a couple years ago and I changed it. And I don't know if I'm ready to tweak it or not, because I'm not really looking at this point. Yeah. But I get some very interesting responses to my profile. Yeah. Some people hate it. They don't like it because it sounds a little bit chauvinistic, I guess, because I'm basically telling you what I want. And instead of describing myself. Oh. And then I get lots of messages from girls that say, "Oh my God, you just described me perfectly. I think I'm your match."
So, but that's what that's why they have 2 sections, don't they?
Yeah.
Is one is supposed to be about the person you're looking for, and the other one is supposed to be about yourself. So maybe on the second one or the first one, whatever one that it is, move that around. Like, switch the one where you're talking about what you just said, like you're describing what you want, like put that in the what you're seeking, like that.
All right, so I'll go ahead and read mine. Okay. Because it's been a while. We did some episodes in the very beginning on profiles, and we've touched on them before, but I think I changed my profile description to this, and it has absolutely changed the quality of women that respond to my profile.
Yeah. That's what I'm going for, quality men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it says, looking for a beautiful, confident, and sexy woman that is completely comfortable being feminine. Are you gorgeous, healthy, secure, optimistic, sexually open, giving, intelligent, honest, outgoing, a social butterfly, great communicator because my life is drama-free zone, understands men and affectionate, ? Now I know that's a lot, and people are like, well, I fit most of those things. This is like the ideal woman.
Yeah. Maybe you should put that on there.
So then I put my ideal woman is between 5 foot and 5'9". The reason being is because I'm almost 5'10", and I get people that respond that are 5'11" or even 6 foot, and I'll go out with them. I'll meet with them because it's not all about. They don't have to fit every single category. Yeah. But man, if you're towering over me, I don't know. Yeah. It's a little tough for me sometimes, but
you have to look up. You like to look down on people. No, I'm just.
Slender to athletic, even a little curvy, and in great shape, medium to long hair and gorgeous eyes. Health and exercise are a big part of her life. I love to laugh, tease, and have fun. I am playful, sometimes silly, yet I'm a strong man. I am confident and used to getting what I want. I want a woman who is used to the same. Whatever you do for a living is something you absolutely love. A great sense of humor is a must. And then I go into, a little bit about me. So I've been a real estate investor for over 23 years, which has blessed my life and others. I want a woman who is just as concerned about the welfare and upliftment of others as I am, and who will support me in my mission to make the world a better place. My life is about helping people live their lives to the fullest, to wake up every day and give a little more and be a little better than I was the day before. Yeah. My life is about learning, growing, and helping others to do the same. My business does not work to me. I do it because I love it. For playtime, I love playing golf, poker, traveling, trips to Vegas, trying new restaurants, live music, and concerts. I enjoy exercise and anything that allows me to enjoy the beauty of nature. And then I put, I've had a few long-term arrangements and met some amazing people from the site. So I'm not new at this. I'm actually not on the site much as I find what I'm looking for fairly quickly, but if I sent you a message, I'm definitely available and looking for my next arrangement. So then the next section under seeking, I say, if you're not my next arrangement, I still love to meet for a drink and maybe you'll be my next guest on my very popular podcast, Secrets of a Sugar Daddy.
Yeah.
I record in Old Town Scottsdale every week and share advice and fun stories about this lifestyle. It's completely anonymous, and we have guests from all over the country who call in. Check it out and let me know if you'd be interested.
I feel like you should move that first part where you're describing her. I feel like you should move that to the bottom.
Really?
Yeah, because that's what you're seeking.
Yeah, you know what? I do kind of have those backwards, don't I?
Yeah.
I may try that. And since you're saying that sometimes, you go through profiles and you're like, yeah, if you've been on there a while, I've talked to you or I've seen you, and I need to change, I think, my profile picture because it's gone a little stale after a couple years. Have you ever done that? Like you'll see a profile picture and you're like, oh, who's this? And you click on it and it was the same person you've already talked to, but they had changed it.
Yep.
But you clicked on their profile.
Yeah.
Because I've done that before because I've seen a picture of a girl that maybe it was a better pose or it was just a cute picture, and I clicked on it and wait a minute, I've seen this girl.
Yeah, I've talked to her, yeah.
Yeah, I've already talked to her. But she got me to click on her profile because she changed it up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's big. I think you need to do that, especially if you're, because there's some people, I know a lot of people who, and I'm one of them too, where like if I'm in an arrangement with somebody, sometimes like I get that I buy so many months at a time. Mm-hmm. And so because I do premium. And so like my profile will stay up and then, after so long, I'll usually either let it lapse or, because of the show, I'll keep it up. And you just gotta you're like a peacock. You gotta just change it up a little bit, you know? So,
all right. Well, we'll do a little experimentation with that.
Yeah.
We'll change up the profile pictures a little. Mine's 2 years old now, so that I probably need to update it.
So my question would be for anyone, and please write in about this because I would love to know this, especially from a guy's perspective. And like I've said many times on the show, I feel like it's geographically, it's different. It could be that the site has changed. Nowadays, what do you guys feel that, because I look for long term, right? Mm-hmm. And, it says that in my profile and it says, but how do you weed out those guys that are not doing that and they'll like waste your time? I cannot tell you how many times I've been out with a guy and he'll have wondering eyes, and I'm just like, okay, well, and he'll like tell me how cute I am and he'll want to like do stuff and then he'll keep trying to call me and, it just like, but the thing is I know that it's going to be short lived because he can't keep his attention. His attention span's probably that of, as far as you can see in front of his nose. Right. So it's super short. That's a big question that I have is how do you guys recommend going about getting a serious long-term? I happen to kind of get lucky most of the time, but it would be really nice to help our guests out there who are really, and even me at this point in phase, because I feel like, and we've said this before, it feels like when you're more desperate, right? So I've going on 3 months now, like 2 or 3 months now without any help. Like my bank account is fucking gone.
Right.
I can sit there and say there's probably less than a couple hundred in there. Like it's gone. And it's just because of my bills. I've got this next tuition coming up and I'm feeling the pressure. So I'm worried that I'm going to be making a the wrong mistake, right? And it's going to be for the wrong reasons, and I don't want that. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste anyone else's time. What's your opinion on that?
Well,
and then the guests can write in about that too.
Yeah. I'd love to hear some feedback from our listeners, but I don't know. I think sometimes you go through some bad stretches, you know, and I think
it feels like it's always the same though. Like at what point is it even possible to get out of that?
Yeah. You just got to keep grinding and keep trying to make your own luck by being prepared when the opportunity happens.
Yeah.
So
it's so hard mentally on you though.
Yeah. Oh, it's tough. I know.
Yeah. Like for you guys, you know, like you say that you want this like girl, right? When you're talking to all these girls, like how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that excitement? And then all of a sudden you're kind of like let down. Because, you know, maybe they'll get on the site and they're like looking at other guys.
I know.
Or, you know, but like I can say from a girl's perspective, it's probably because she's like, for me, sometimes I've been burnt so much that it like, I don't know what to believe. I don't know if I can believe you, because let's be honest, like guys will take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't want to have to help out if they, right? Like most. Yeah,
unfortunately.
exactly. And I just wish there was a way. I actually kind of asked this similar question to another gentleman, and he just replied back to me today. And I can read you his response.
Yeah.
So I like I said, I love getting advice from people and that I can share with others, especially from the site. So what do you do when you come across girls that are like that while I'm pulling this up?
Well, I've got an issue right now where somebody I just met not too long ago wants me to, she's kind of in a situation like you where her previous sugar daddy has an apartment for her and the lease is up in May.
Oh, wow.
And she's wanting me to sign on the lease and help her for a year. And I'm like, I barely know you.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of pushes me away because it's putting a lot of pressure. I hadn't even had a chance to get to know her.
Yeah. So maybe that's where a lot of girls go wrong is our desperation.
Yeah.
It's obviously very unattractive,
right.
But like how would you recommend for a girl, like on a girl's perspective and even a guy's, how do you recommend dealing with that?
You know, every case is so different. Like everybody's chemistry is different. Everybody interacts differently. So I don't think there is a hard and fast rule or answer for it, but you just can't show the desperation because it scares people off. Like, so now I'm starting to look at her going, man, she's unstable, right?
Yeah.
And most people don't, if they start seeing red flags like somebody's unstable,
yeah,
because we were supposed to do something, and then she's like, "Oh, I can't today because I'm sad." Yeah. So, okay.
Yikes.
Thanks for being honest, but doesn't motivate me to.
So, would you recommend that? Because that's exactly, I don't want to come across that way either. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the reality of the situation is,
I know.
Yeah, I kind of am. So, and I even reached out to my professor, and I'm actually trying to get like a summer job lined up.
Yeah.
And just because, you know, like, but I need it to be in my career field. If I'm going to work, it's got to be in my career field. Mm-hmm. I've got to push myself and challenge myself in that way. So, do you think it's probably best to continue, maybe for a girl, like be like, okay, see that guy, be open with him and just be like, hey, listen, like I don't want any pressure on this relationship. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to like, let's kind of just see where this goes naturally. And then, but how would you bring up, I'm going to see somebody else in the meantime to help like.
No, I still think you need to explain your situation. You need to be open with them and let them know, but you need to be positive about it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start getting these desperate vibes and these like kind of down and out vibes.
If you like talk about it though, I mean, how they're going to see that desperate. Like, so what do you mean? So like, you know, my instance. So what would you, so for our listeners out there. So it's been, like we just talked about, it's been a couple months now since my last arrangement and I kind of ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just I'm really struggling with I just don't feel like there's a lot of quality out there right now. And they're all just wanting hookups. And so that's where the struggle's been for me, is I feel like everyone's just wanting a fun time, which I am too. That's great. Fantastic. Let's have loads of fun, as much fun as possible. I don't want to be bouncing around, and I really don't know that I want somebody to be bouncing around as well. There's nothing wrong with, they want to see like one or two, one other girl, two other girls, that's fine. But, I'm not sure how to bring up like, hey, until we're a little bit further along at that point, I just don't know how to say, I want to see other people right now just because this is what I need to do. But if obviously I like you, I just don't know at what point should we be exclusive,
mm-hmm.
right? That's a struggle. So that's what I struggle with right now.
No, it's tough because the men don't want to be pressured into something from the very beginning. Yeah.
And girls have their hands out all the time, and I feel so bad, but I'm like,
I get messages from people all the time. Hey, can you send me $100 for this? And this is people that I know. This is not scammers, but
right.
I get messages all the time from past, like, hey, I'm in trouble here. My phone got shut off, and I'm, message you from an app. Can you help me? I'm like, I haven't seen you in 8 months.
Right. Yeah. So I don't do that.
Yeah, I get it all the time.
Yeah, I don't really do that. I would say definitely a big problem that I come across is I don't ask, right? And they'll tell me they're going to do something, and then I'm stuck there waiting.
Yeah.
And that tends to happen to me a lot, where guys will tell me one thing and then they don't kind of.
I've had people actually send me Cash App request or Venmo request for money.
Really? Yeah. But this was after you guys, did you say that you were going to? I mean, that's the big thing. That's the difference though, is these guys will tell me, they'll be like, I'm going to help you. But then they don't, right?
Yeah. No, this is just for random things.
Random. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
From people I know. They'll just all of a sudden send me a Cash App request for $100 and then they'll put why they're needing it. And I just either ignore it or I pay it.
Yeah. Really? Oh my God. Maybe
most of the time ignore it.
Maybe I should start Venmoing you. No, I would never do that.
That's annoying as fuck.
Okay. All right. Well, I can be annoying. Yeah. So anyways, this guy says, let's hear. So this is what I said. I said, okay, so may I ask your advice? When meeting someone, how do I describe what I'm looking for and emphasize that I want something ongoing if we connect? I really dislike the idea of sleeping with multiple guys in order to find a match. It just doesn't make me feel very good. And he said, he's like, I would only do a meet and greet date first, which I always do.
Yep.
And then he's like, and ask for at least a $200 gift for your time and travel.
For the first meet and greet?
Yeah.
You know what? I've turned people down because of that.
So it's just, that depends on.
But I have paid that on a first meet and greet.
Really?
On my own. Because I enjoyed it so much. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know how you go about that, but we talked about it, I think, in an episode.
Probably,
on how much time and effort it takes to do a meet and greet, and the gas and just the makeup and getting ready and taking time off of whatever you're doing.
Right.
It's worth your time. But when people ask for it up front, like I've had somebody I wanted to meet before, and they're like, well, I don't do free greet and meets, so I need something. And I'm like, I don't want to show up, and then 5 minutes later I'm thinking, this is not what I thought it was going to be, and now I owe her money.
So I'm not wondering if there's maybe, because I know that there's probably a lot of girls out there that do that. I'm wondering, I don't do it. I've had it done to me before, where guys, they'll be like, hey, I'm going to give you, will you do this? And actually that, to me, I see that as a red flag, as he's expecting an escort. To me, that for some reason, I have tied that to escort type situations. And I shouldn't. I don't think I should be categorizing things like that, but it's really hard because I'm like, okay, well, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because if I'm going to be out with somebody, I feel like I want to meet them because I'm genuinely interested in them, not because you're paying me to be interested in you.
Right.
You know? And so like that's kind of a hard, I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, yeah, he's absolutely right. Like you're definitely not wasting time at that point and the effort that goes to being put into it. But I wonder if there's just a different way. And then from the guy's perspective, like, what do you think that is? If a guy offers that.
If a guy offers you what?
Like money, like if you haven't even met and he's like, hey, I'll pay you this to come out with me. Like, what do you think that is?
Oh, for the first time for a meet and greet?
Yeah. Is he like, what do you think he's expecting? Like it's,
Well, then the communication needs to go a little further. Like, this is just a meet and greet. That's how I operate on the first time. So I'd be very happy if you compensated me because I've got a lot of expenses, but I like to see how things go before we make any decisions to go any further.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah, it is. There's just like situation is always so different, isn't it? So,
well, speaking of meet and greet, I've got this letter I want to read.
Let's do it.
It's pretty good. She wrote in and says, "Hello, love your podcast. I am a new sugar baby and have tons of questions. The first sugar daddy I had happened immediately, and he was extraordinarily wealthy, so I never needed to ask for anything.
That's how it should be.
He was worth over $100 million. He gave me $600 to go to Starbucks with him for an hour." Well, Amy's like, where do I find this guy?
No, I mean, I've had that. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. I did not realize I went straight to the big leagues. Now that it's over, I'm kind of at a loss. I'm jaded by his generosity. How do I get past this, and how do I negotiate for myself better? Some blogs say wait until the date, but that's frustrating when the guy is nowhere near what I want. I want to hear more from a sugar daddy's perspective on the negotiating and what factors they consider. I also have questions about intimacy and when that should happen. When I'm getting paid $2,000 for a date, I feel like I need to make sure they know I'm not going to sleep with them on the first date, but that price doesn't change. Suggestions? I've gone on several other dates with less wealthy men worth $10 million, and they are definitely not as generous. Not even close. I had awesome chemistry with a man who said I was the first person he had met that showed up looking better than my photos instead of worse. Then he only offered me $1,500 monthly allowance. Like, what the fuck? I would also love more tips on how to spot a Splenda or Salt daddy and when it's a good time to reveal more photos. And am I expected to give personal information? And what happens if they find out my real name and situation? Because I'm married with kids and my husband has no idea. Amy?
Oh my God.
There's a lot in here.
Yeah. Okay. So you're going to have to read that off to me. Like, let's just go question by question because that's a lot. And that she has, there's obviously
one of the first questions she asked is when somebody's offering her a large amount, but she doesn't do intimacy on the first date. It's like much like yourself.
Right.
How do you deal with that?
One, I don't. It's kind of like what we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I would always do like a meet and greet first.
Yeah.
You know me, I don't do dates. I don't do dates on the first time because I don't want to be stuck there.
Right.
So if they're offering you a lot, I've learned to, even though if they could be offering me 2,000, 1,000, I will still tell them like, hey, I am much more comfortable doing a meet and greet first, and let's sit down, have a real conversation, and meet. Yeah, that's what I do in order to not have that happen. Because if I've had guys before where they will try shit, they will not respect my boundaries, and right. I have to pull away, and that's not fun. Like, you don't want them, because what's happened, I think, at that point is they're like, I just spent all of this on this girl, and this is what the site's about. Like, girls, it's about sexual relations and whatnot and yada, yada, yada. But they're kind of more expecting that escort scenario again. And that's not what sugar babies are.
Right.
We are not escorts. Like, if you are doing that, girls, like, stop. You're really, really ruining it for a lot of people. You are not I don't think you should be doing that. Get on Eros. Like, seriously, that's the escort. That's the escort site. Like, get on that, and you'll get paid more. Like, Eros, you make twice as much. Like, sugar babies, we date the men we date because we like the men and they just happen to spoil us rotten.
So in here, she says that she did have chemistry with a man, but he only offered her $1,500 a month allowance.
I've had that happen a lot.
Yeah.
I've had that one happen a lot. I don't know what to tell you on that one because I don't have that one figured out yet. Normally, like, it just sucks
I
because
think you just say, I really enjoy your company. I like you a lot, and I see this going somewhere, but that number doesn't even help me with as much
rent.
as I need, right? Barely rent. And
it doesn't help me with school. Whatever you've got going on.
Yeah.
That's definitely a very interesting point because it brings up another interesting point. A lot of guys, they'll, on their profiles, they'll say, I'm non-transactional. And I sit there and I have to question that. I'm like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, non-transactional or whatever, and if sometimes guys, if they'll be, I always ask them, what are you looking for? And then hopefully if they're nice, they're going to reciprocate and they're going to ask you. But then I've also had guys, when I tell them, they'll be like, well, I'm looking for non-transactional and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, my profile says right there, honey, like, I'm not looking, I don't need like great trips. I don't need the purses. I don't want to go do the shopping shit. Like, I don't want that. I'm wanting this to go for something else. And so I think have that conversation, maybe figure out a way and let me know what you find out through your experiments. You just have to experiment with it. Have a conversation before then. A big one that I've tried doing is, and it's a hit or a miss because guys do not want to throw out the numbers, is I'll be like, well, what would you be comfortable with? Mm-hmm. Like, if in your ideal situation and everything that you have going on, what would you be comfortable with? And what would your ideal situation be?
You know what I find is a lot of girls will say, well, my last sugar daddy did this for me.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good way of saying, this is kind of what I'm used to, even if it's a lie. That's what they say. But there's,
okay.
They can throw out any number. They can throw out any number they want. But then I start feeling like, oh, okay, well, and it kind of gives me at least a bar. And I may say, oh, that's fine. That works for me. Yeah. Or I might say, well, that's not my budget, but my budget is this. It kind of starts the conversation.
That would be a great one.
Yeah.
I need to take that. Okay.
Yeah. I find that one works pretty well.
Yeah, that's
my
great.
Last arrangement did this for me, but I understand you're different, but this is what my last arrangement did. So it kind of gives me a bar of what they're used to and what they expect.
Right. Okay. Yeah, there you go. I don't have the answer. He does. All right.
Matter of fact, it was funny because I invited her on the show, but it was a little late, and she just emailed me right now.
Oh, nice.
Says, hey, I just saw your email. I'm so bummed, but I hope you found someone great to be on the show. Too bad because I spent the last 3 days with a very interesting sugar daddy. I'd love to join your...
This is the guy? This is the girl that we were just...
Yeah, she just emailed me.
Nice. Okay, well, let's finish. After this, we'll finish her.
Well, no, this is... so that's the end of that one.
Oh, okay.
I've got another pretty good one I wanted to get your opinion on. Let's see. It says...
This is the girl that's jaded from the $100 million.
That was the one I just finished.
Yeah, we haven't gone through all those questions.
Yeah, we did. That was pretty much all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. This is from another girl named, but she's in New York.
New York.
It's a very popular name. Hi, guys. I recently discovered your podcast and love it. In your latest episode, Amy said my average is probably 3 to 4 dates before anything actually happens. What I'm wondering is, do these guys only give her an allowance, PPM, when sex happens?
No.
Okay. I've been on Seeking for about a year now in New York City. I think most guys who meet me in real life would describe me as a tall Dutch Scandinavian blonde 10 Very intelligent, sweet, genuine, fun, attentive, goofy, etc. That's their words, not mine. I'm confident but not arrogant. I don't drink or do drugs. Never have, so not a former addict, thankfully. I make it pretty clear on my profile I do not want something transactional. It needs to feel natural and organic with chemistry.
There's that non-transactional thing again, but at the same time, like you're still you're still expecting money. So yes, it like, is that just me, or it is transactional? Like, is that not like, I don't understand.
That's how we kind of dance around this whole thing.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, if it were a perfect world, a girl would never have to ask for anything, right? And the guy would just be like, "Hey, what do you need help with?
Yep.
Like, let's figure out a system."
And I've had plenty of arrangements like that.
Yeah, you and I did, but it just was like, it's so fucking hard to find.
But other guys are not like me.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even my one guy, like, he was like that, you know, like he's like that. He's like, "Well, what do you need?"
Yeah.
But I mean, trying to find another one, just like, my God, it's
tough. She says, I've only had a few experiences where a guy offered and gave me a dollar amount when we met up the first few times, and it didn't yet involve in getting back home or to his hotel together. I really liked that they didn't pressure me to do anything I wasn't comfortable with, and actually seemed to really enjoy my company, my personality, and getting to know me naturally. But I realized it's rare and that a lot more guys only want to give money when sex happens. And that puts me in an uncomfortable position because I usually don't like to get intimate with someone before seeing them a few times and developing a bit of a mental connection. I obviously don't see someone again unless I know I potentially want to be intimate with them. So it's a bit frustrating because it's only an issue with getting past the first few times. After that, sex is usually involved naturally. But I feel uncomfortable when they only start giving money then. Feels transactional, which kind of ruins the fun for me. Love to hear your thoughts about that.
Oh, man.
Boy, that is your situation exactly.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to look at it. So I would say, girls, look at it from the man's perspective. And then, Marcus, you can weigh in on this too at any point. Because I'm kind of just feel like I'm up here, right? I'm trying to think of what to do because I'm in the same position.
Well, I've kind of been guilty a little bit of that myself.
Yeah, it happens a lot, but I get it from your guys' perspective though, because otherwise it's like, what if she just takes it and run, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so there's this one guy I was talking to, and he's so nice. He's out of state though, so I don't know if I'll ever meet him. We tend to talk on the phone a lot, and I want to just be like, at this point, I just want to be his friend because he's fucking funny as fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he was telling me the story about this girl that he took her to Vegas, and he was like, I'll give you $5,000 to go to Vegas with me. He's like, I'm going to give you half up front. And then, like after everything, after the trip, I'll give you the other half, right? They show up. He gives her half. She's like, he had like separate rooms like that. She could just lock the door, right? And it's a sweet thing where, yeah. And so he's like, well, I'm going to go down and play some poker. Take your nap, because she was saying she was tired. So he left, and he come like a couple hours go by, and she hasn't messaged him or anything. So he goes back up to the room, and all of her shit is gone. Yeah. So then he was like, he was livid. He was really, really mad. Right. So I get that. Like, the story, I guess, that why I'm telling you that, like, these people, this is this lady Madison, this is because that happens to guys a lot. I'm hearing.
Oh, it does.
So we have to respect, like, they can't be respecting us all the time. Like, we need to, it's a mutual respect. You have to understand from their viewpoint that they've probably been taken advantage of just as much, if not more, than what we have, right? Because there are girls out there, like I said, who give us a bad name. And that's, I'm glad that, like, the people that message our show, they are not those type of girls. And I really appreciate that to all of our listeners and the ones that write in, because I think they're the ones that are giving this a good name, because it's a dating style, right? And it's what we like, and it's enjoyable. And so just respecting that they've probably been taken advantage of. It's just kind of like, think of it like kind of sealing the deal, right? It's, it's just like, okay, like I understand her perspective where you do kind of feel like, okay, well, but at the same time, try this. The fact that they've been out with you so many times before anything happened, that right there should tell you right then and there that they're actually really into you, right? It's not about just because they're like paying you for this, right? So yeah, so that's what I just, sorry.
Yeah.
It's like awkward as fuck. But anyways, that's what I have to say about that. So we have to understand from their perspective. So don't maybe try like figure out a way to make yourself better with it, because I promise you they're probably feeling the same thing where it's like, if I give you this, how do I know that you're just not going to up and run?
Right.
You know, even though I do like you, but this is what it is. And I don't want to be taken advantage of just as much as you don't. So your thought?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's tough.
That is a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a very good question though, but that's what I would have to say. You got to figure it out, like figure out a way to be okay with it, because it happens, right? So anyways, back to that story. So get this, later on, sorry, my brain is just like, this story is so funny. It's sad, but funny. So later on, so he's like super pissed off and he was like, yeah, I didn't know whether to leave or just like stay. So I stayed, met up with a couple of friends and just went out drinking. He's like, later that night, we're at a strip club and we see her and she's there with her boyfriend. He's like, I financed their entire trip.
Oh my god!
And I was like, dear God,
wow,
that sucks. Yeah. So, yeah, it just, man, the shit that some of these guys have to go through, it really sucks. But you know, if a guy really likes you, I think that it's truly okay. If they go out with you, like I said, 3 or 4 times and nothing has been really expected, you know, maybe you should be comfortable enough to kind of have that conversation with them at that point and just be like, hey, listen, like, I don't like being handed cash. Like you can PayPal me or Venmo me, but don't sit there and like hand me cash. Or if you do have cash, because there's some guys who do have cash, like leave it somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you where to leave it, but do not, and no girl should ever do this. If a guy hands you cash, don't ever just take it from their hand. That is prostitution. And that,
prostitution is trading money for sexual favors.
Yep. And if
specific sexual favors,
if afterwards or before in sting operations, if the law says, if you that's why a lot of times, like, you don't do that. I know this because I know people that are in the justice system. So like, you do not do that. Like, do not sit there even before or after, like, and it's always for your time. They're not paying you for sex. They're paying you for your time.
Right.
But I'm letting people know, right? Like they have to know because there are sting operations out there and they're
very rare. I know, but they have better things to do.
Well, why not?
I haven't heard any in a long time. So
yeah, but they still happen. Yeah.
So I got so we are now affiliates with OMG Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They approved it. They've listened to our podcast and checked out our webpage and said, yeah, we'd love for you guys to promote our course. And so if you go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, you'll see on the first page down at the bottom a link to OMG Yes. Yeah. You should click on that because it's going to tell them where it came from. Yeah. And, you know, we get like a few bucks if they buy the course, but it is fantastic.
It works.
It works. And
it definitely works.
The techniques are good. So
yeah, I mean, like Marcus has brought up many times, like if you have any doubt in your mind, I would just, if I were even like the girls, like because they also do girls too, right? Like techniques for girls or just guys?
No, it's techniques how to please a woman orally.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So
and other things too, but it's focused in on orally.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like guys, I think that's the key. I mean, but there are a lot of girls out there that, you know, want other techniques too. So
yeah. They explore all kinds. They've got like 3 seasons.
Okay.
Of 3 chapters, I guess you would say.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the 3rd one yet, but the first 2 are excellent. So
really? Oh yeah.
Great videos.
Yeah.
They're even interactive. Like
You can learn how to move on it, what your tongue
like
needs
a
to
picture
do.
of a vagina actually shows up on
Yeah.
your screen, and it's interactive, and you move your fingers around, and it tells you whether you're doing it too fast or too slow.
No freaking way.
Yeah.
That is genius.
Yeah, and
Like,
then you
that's
get some
perfect.
feedback.
Yeah.
Some audible feedback, like, oh,
you
that's
go.
just right.
I
yeah.
love it.
Oh, it's great.
Oh yeah, that would be a fun game for guys. Like, and I think that's so important because I can't tell you how many guys are like really bad at it.
I know.
And like that
Just a little study and a little practice.
Yeah, exactly. And like even like the firmness of your tongue makes a difference.
Yeah.
And like that's the big thing. Like if you're good at sex, girls will always come back. Always. I've never been with a guy who's great at sex that I wasn't like, holy shit. Like,
Call him 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even to this day, I'm like, I still think about like the best guys that I've been with, and they're the ones that are afraid, that can that will actually try to learn, right? And I like think about them all the time. I'm like, oh
well, here's what's good about you, Amy, is you coached very well. You weren't afraid to tell me, and I'm sure you're not afraid to tell other guys how you like it and what you want. The problem I run into is some girls are so quiet, and I don't know where I don't know, because every girl
is different.
It's a little different. They like different things, and if they don't give me any feedback or any coaching, it's hard for me to know.
Well, vice versa. I mean, there's guys out there.
Same thing.
Where they're like, well, maybe it's probably because people don't really know, right? So I would say, what I would say to that is I always ask, usually, I'm like, I'll tell them, I'll make it cute and sexy. I'll be like, hey, I really, really enjoy this, but I just want to let you know that I really like it when you tell me what to do. Because I want to, like, I know that you're really good at it yourself, probably with your hand, but I can beat that. Like, I can beat that score. I want to be
no pun intended.
I want to be the best one, like, and so I make it kind of fun, and because I enjoy that, and I like the competition aspect of it. So,
well, very good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me today.
Yes, thank you.
Sometimes I wonder if we have enough to talk about, and we just got started.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
Just, well, me, chit chat.
Yeah. Well, guys, share your stories. Like, we just read some emails and letters we got from people who visit our site, secretsofasugardaddy.com, and share your experiences and your questions. And maybe we'll get to yours next on air. We'd love to try to answer your questions. We don't have all the answers, but we try, and there's all kinds of resources out there.
Yeah, and hopefully people will start writing in and like giving us answers to what they, I would love
and
that.
if you guys have found solutions that have worked to some of the problems that Amy has, and even that I have in the sugar dating life,
and Angie,
we'd love to hear those.
Yeah.
Also, we would love your ratings. We're starting to get some ratings, especially on like Apple Podcast. You can rate us, please, 5 stars, and actually write what you like about the show on there. And if you don't like anything about the show, just stop listening and don't say anything at all. I don't care. But we love your feedback, and if there's things that we can improve, we'd love to hear those too. Until next episode.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.